All the news, meanwhile, that's fit to flop. Why, at this hour, the New York Times may already be regretting that front-page assault on Senator John McCain. In a moment, how it's uniting Republicans. First, how it is raising calls for a nationwide boycott. One of those calls coming from journalist Freire, a former employee of the New York Times. JP, what are you doing?
Well, basically what I'm saying is that if you want to have reliable journalism or any sort of standards when it comes to reporting the right things, maybe what you should do is you should avoid going to the New York Times, because what this story has shown us is that they can't be relied on to tell a decent story, especially when it comes to John McCain. Now, look, first off, they came out and they had supported and endorsed him. But then you have this investigative report which basically says nothing. It doesn't reveal who the sources are, but that's fine, I guess, because that's an investigative report that's necessary for investigative reporting. However, the problem is that they don't even talk about this alleged affair that went on between McCain and this lobbyist. They just move on and start talking about all these ethics flaps that he's been involved in.
But you're saying as a result, and I've read this a few times just to try to comprehend what the big deal was here, but having said all of that, you're saying that people should put their money where their angst is, right? If you don't like the New York Times, boycott the New York Times. That happens a lot when controversial stories come out in a publication, but how much do you expect to get from that?
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, conservatives don't really concern themselves with the New York Times anyway. But the point is that we want to make sure that when people are looking at the New York Times, that they know that the reporting is frequently tainted, that they can't rely on it.
All right. So if you were to boycott it, would you similarly boycott advertisers in the Times, or would this just for the time being be kind of like an emotional statement on the Times itself?
Well, I think it's an emotional statement, but it's also just a decision to figure out where you're going to get your news from. And if it's going to be from reports like this, you're probably not going to want to stick with it. It's sloppy work. It's not properly attributed. It's just hearsay, and it's really unfortunate. And it's not just because he's going after my guy. Yeah, McCain's not my guy. I have my own hesitations when it comes to him.
Right.
But when I see a story like that, and it starts off so salaciously, and then it just drops short because they have nothing else, that should make somebody wonder.
All right, JP, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.